Welcome to Better Futures.
All right, that inspires in me another question. Like we have talked previous to our discussion about the environment and simply the human potential to affect change on a global scale. We were talking more specifically about the responsibilities of the internet as a public sector. With that in mind, that leads me to a very specific question that I can also make more general if you should need.
Sure.
So we could, with certain policy changes, reorganize the internet as a public sector or republic of letters, public forum. We could reorganize it in such a manner that something like, hey, let's go clean up Miami Beach today, actually does reach however many people would be required to result in 2,000 participants.
It should be like an Amber Alert.
Oh, like an Amber. Well, thank you very much. You just kind of jumped ahead. You already knew where I was going with that. How you thought it might happen. All right, thank you. That's fucking brilliant. Hell yeah. Frankly, that's such a quick answer. My next question might also have a pretty quick answer. Hopefully, anyway. Maybe this is just me being optimistic. But what barriers or challenges you might see the human species and human society, the economy, politics, culture, whatever, what barriers or challenges you might see us having to overcome in order to achieve this better future that we've been circling around?
Okay, yeah, so it's definitely a David and Goliath sort of situation here. In America, we got corporate power, right? And they have the rights of a person. So they're going to say that this is our space. We curated it to sell to you. And if you try to infringe upon that so that it can be public, you are literally stealing from us. And now that's going to be very difficult to overrule. And it's going to need an argument that is based on the, hey, you didn't get here for free. We provided the resources for your company to flourish. You need to pay your dues back to your customers, which you should care about. You should care about the well-being and wants and needs of your customers. You're still a platform. People are still going to experience this where you're making money, but you shouldn't be given an infinite growth paradigm. And not only that, but a pet for it as well, and saying that you're the only one that can provide it. That is a business that's not allowed to fail, right? It's like a bank. It's impossible for it to fail. And if it's impossible for it to fail, then in what sense is that? So we need to seriously look at what an internet company does and how it influences the system, because it's not like there's infinite space on the internet. There isn't, but you have your fair share. You have 10%, 20%, and whatever. But if the world's largest search engine is giving me results in a dishonest fashion, well, now you've screwed up the entire internet. One company has screwed up the whole thing. We have a responsibility to the rest of the internet and the rest of the people on it to do things in an honest, upright way, transparent even. They shouldn't be able to hide their algorithms and then hide behind it by saying like, oh, well, the algorithm takes care of that. Yeah, in what way? Does it take care of it for you to make more money? I'm sure it does.
Absolutely. This is something that I need to look into more, but the best I can say right now in terms of summarizing what I've learned so far is that transparency between corporations and end users or customers or simply citizens is of the utmost importance in what we should now consider the sort of public sector or public utilities that technology is increasingly becoming, if only because American society has become post-service based or what have you. Pick the better synonym you might find.
Yeah. We've reached the post-technological age, I guess. Because now we have a new feather in our cap, right? Like we were industrialized and now we are augmented. We are the augmented age.
Augmented is definitely the best word. I have no idea augmented by what, because it's something greater than simply technology augment.
Yeah, these places go there. So I kind of want to reference a podcast that I watch a lot to fossilize this. Now, basically, if you think of media as a projection of a person, right? Like you're posting videos on YouTube, you're literally putting a recording of the light that was projected off of your face, recording that and casting it to everybody, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So in that same way, that's how we've augmented it. if you think about the way Elon Musk was saying that we're already connected, having the Neuralink thing that he wants to do. We're already looking at our phones all the time in order to get our information for the day. And when we're doing that, we're receiving media that somebody else had created. So what we're really doing here is decreasing the latency between each other's consciousness.
Oh, wow. Gosh, that's...
Decreasing the latency. Yeah.
This is just the best analogy I can come up with right now, but due to a decrease in the latency of economic transaction, the velocity of money has increased. Perhaps we might say the velocity of consciousness has increased.
I would agree.
I'm gonna need to like sit with that for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like anything, it's a blessing and a curse. And we need to use the internet wisely and ask ourselves, what kind of space do we want? What kind of utility do we want to bring us? We don't want another situation where you have McDonald's saying, hey, we're just giving the customers what they wanted. And now we have Facebook saying, we're just giving them the content that they wanted.
A great takeaway for me is that the best way to implement the internet as public space is to consider in what ways the degree to which it amplifies the velocity of consciousness can be best applied in the interest of human well-being.
That is fantastic. And you might have laws that protect your freedom from oppression, but those laws are not oppression.
Interesting. We need to pick our laws in terms of, well, are they marginally less oppression than the oppression they hope to prevent?
Sure. Yeah, because I mean, in absence of laws, we're just going to end up getting it anyways after anarchy. You know, that's eventually going to make rules again. But we just really need to kill the idea that corporations are people. They aren't. We need to hold a collective of people to a higher standard than a single person almost, especially if you're a collective of people that decides you want to make money with a certain means. Now you're a group of people who are conniving to hoodwink the general populace. That's not okay.
Absolutely. That's a major risk. And if you and I were simply out and about, one would hope that even if I were a shitty human being, you would be there to prevent me from doing anything too bad. Like,
yes.
Yeah, collectives of human beings do seem to deserve a greater standard, or I suppose a less forgiving criteria upon which they are judged.
Yes, yeah. Solid topics, man. I do want to tag in here though. The idea that corporations are people is probably the weirdest one for me to try to wrap my mind around, because you can't put a corporation in jail. You can't. So if money is speech and you can just give money to politicians as a donation and say that that's from Halliburton, so like, you know, holla at your boy when you get elected, right?
It does seem pretty obvious to me, and I hope obvious to everybody, that if you can't apply the same punishment to a corporation as you could to a human being, then obviously a corporation isn't a human being.
Yeah, I mean, does it have 2 arms and 2 legs? That's not a human. Well, and then just the practical implications. Say we accept the fact that a corporation is a person, and McDonald's killed Ronald McDonald. Let's just say they killed him, right? You can't put McDonald's in jail. We can't hold corporations to the same standard as people. It's just like you said, it's not physically possible because it's not physically a thing. It's an idea. A corporation is an idea of this collection of people that is set to profit in this particular way.
Absolutely. All right. That's another thing that we're going to have to change, and perhaps it can inform our way of implementing shift from the internet being private corporate space to public sector space.
Yeah, that might take care of the challenges that we were talking about seeing. Maybe the problem at hand here is that they shouldn't have and didn't have the right to become the Goliath that's shaped this way.
All right, well, I'm going to keep investigating these different little avenues, and I hope to talk to you about them again soon.
Yeah, we can definitely touch base again on the same, similar, or maybe even a different topic. Who knows, you know?
The hell yeah!